Barnes & Noble has shut down. At least the one by my house has. And for the record, I know that they're having a renaissance. I know that they're opening new stores, but in this particular location, the entire plaza is being updated and the rent has gone through the roof. And I felt so sad. It gave me the PTSD that I had 10, 15 years ago when all of my local Barnes & Noble stores were starting to close down. And unfortunately, my area of South Florida has not been the boom of bookstores. So taking this one away from me breaks my heart. What I didn't do was stand in the line around the block to buy the for sale books. What I did do is come later and pick through every single thing that was left and see if I found anything that was worth it. I did. I found some good stuff too. Like, I was not just buying trash. I gave myself some assignments going into it, so I wasn't just kind of wandering all over the place. I wanted to hopefully find stuff that was on my book list. If not on my book list, I wanted to find some classics that I might not have been thinking of buying at the time. If I couldn't find that, then maybe something that sounded very interesting that I would normally read. And then finally, I wanted to see if I could spot any other Puerto Rican writers, and I did. This is the only one that I found off of my list. It's In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. And I have heard all over the place that this memoir is amazing. I love a memoir. You guys know I love a memoir. And on top of that, it's supposed to be horror or suspense or something different. It says it's an electrifying account of a relationship gone bad and a bold dissection of the mechanisms and cultural representations of psychological abuse. We found some classic authors. We didn't technically find classic books. And when I say classic authors, I mean classic to me. This does not necessarily mean classic in the literary canon sense, which we're going to get into. We're going to get into that this season. I have talked about her on this channel multiple times, so many times. It is Alison Bechdel. I have, I don't know, like 3 of her books. She is fantastic. This is a comic novel. She draws all of her own stuff. I don't know what this is about. I'm assuming her family, because all of her writing usually is. It says that she wonders, can she pull humanity out of its death spiral by writing a scathingly self-critical memoir about her own greed and privilege? She is scathing and critical and hilarious. So this was a good one. Mind you, I got all of these books for like $100, 8 books for like $100, and I haven't been able to buy 8 books from Barnes & Noble for $100 for like 25 years. And so this was a steal. Don't tell me it might have been cheaper somewhere else. We're not having that conversation. That's not what we're here for today. The next classic author, again, classic to me, is Armistead Maupin. I don't know if that's how you say his last name. Maupin. I believe he's British. He lives in London with his husband, Christopher Turner. Mona of the Manor. I read him in college. His hit series, Tales of the City, was so good. It's like a little soap opera-ish, a little Sophie Kinsella, like quick and cute, but also young people not getting it right vibes. It was so wonderful. I read it in college. They signed it in a queer lit class that I took, and I haven't read the series in a while, but this is supposed to be a follow-up to one of the characters after she is older. It's the 10th and final novel of the Tales of the City series. I know I have not read all 10. I know I do not have all 10. I want to say that I loaned them from the library. I have the original that I got from school. I read Tales of the City, more Tales of the City. I don't know if I read further Tales of the City. There's so many. And everybody's a character, right? Like, this one is about Mona Ramsey, free-spirited and unpredictable as ever among the bluebells in Britain's golden Cotswolds. The original series is in San Francisco, because San Francisco was like the very hip, cool place for the gays in those times. And this has taken her into Britain, where she has married Lord Teddy Ruffton. She never imagined that at 48 she would be the widowed Lady Mona, sole owner of a grand romantic country manor in the United Kingdom. She also didn't imagine that she'd need to open Easley House's doors to paying guests. And then the hijinks ensue, I'm assuming. Fun. Okay, we're leaving the land of the classics. We're going into some stuff that I felt like I would like. I found this in the young adult section. It's called Olivetti, Boy Typewriter and the Stories They Hold. Being a typewriter is not as easy as it looks. This is a speaking typewriter. Mind you, with all these, I read the first few pages because, you know, we don't play those games. And it was so cute. Surrounded by books, notorious attention hogs, and recently replaced by a computer, Olivetti has been been forgotten by the Brindles, the family he's lived with for years. When Olivetti learns Beatrice has mysteriously gone missing afterward, he believes he can help find her. He breaks the only rule of the typewriterly code and types back to Ernest, divulging Beatrice's memory stored inside him. He was just a funny ass sounding typewriter, and so I'm hoping this is really cute. This one is America the Beautiful ? I didn't see this at the bottom of the front. This is hilarious. It says one woman in a borrowed Prius on the road most traveled. And then it says author of How to Date Men When You Hate Men. She sounds hilarious. It says to fill in the literary gaps and quench her own sense of adventure, Roberson quits her day job and sets off on a great American road trip to visit America's national parks. Along the way, she meets new friends on their own personal quests, learns to cope with abstinence while missing the comforts of home, and comes to understand the limits and possibilities of going to nature to prove to yourself and your Instagram followers that you are, in fact, free. I love a funny jaunt with a quirky author. Shame on You: How to Be a Woman in the Age of Mortification by Melissa Petro. I really like investigative journalism that teaches you something historically or scientifically. The thing about some of these books is that there's only so much you can teach before you start having to repeat. And so I'm hoping that's not the case with this. Like, there's a STEM Barbie that they created because they're trying to be more progressive. But then it's noted that the STEM Barbie builds things that are almost completely limited to the realm of fashion and household chores. She builds dresses, a moving clothes rack, a shoe rack, a jewelry holder, and a washing machine. And yes, they're all pink. So I'm hoping that the entire book is like that. And I learned some really quirky, cool stuff about how women have been made to feel ashamed. They shouldn't. All right, my last two, I was so excited that I found these, are by Puerto Rican authors, and I've been trying to find more Puerto Rican authors because I would like to know them all. This one is Oscar Hijuelos, and it's called Our House in the Last World. This is fiction. It won some prizes. Oh, this is by a Cuban. Okay, the other one's by Puerto Rican. I am Cuban and Puerto Rican, in case you didn't know. First generation Cuban son comes of age in the debut and most autobiographical novel of the Pulitzer Prize winning author of the Mambo Kings play Songs of Love. Hector Santino is the youngest son of Alejo and Mercedes, who moved to New York from Cuba in the mid-1940s. Sold. I don't need to know anything else. And the last one is Dispatches from Puerto Nowhere, an American story of assimilation and erasure. Robert Lopez's grandfather Sixto was born in Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, which my family is from there, in 1904, immigrating to the United States in the 1920s, where he lived in a racially portioned apartment complex in East New York, Brooklyn, until his death in 1987. The family's efforts to assimilate within their new homeland led to the near complete erasure of their heritage, culture, and language within 2 generations. It is an attempt to bridge the past to the present and reclaim a heritage threatened by assimilation and erasure. Also, I love this actual book. I love its color. That's it. It's all my books. I hope you guys like them. I'm excited to read them. I will tell you about them when I do read them. I am actually kind of excited that they weren't a lot of the books on my list, because these are things that I found on my own that the internet didn't tell me about, or things I probably wouldn't have known about if my local Barnes & Nobles hadn't closed. They said they're opening a new one, so I'm waiting. However, I wouldn't have found them. I found lots of books through my life because of Barnes & Noble, and I'm forever grateful. Maybe these weren't books you would have found, but you're here, so you did. See you next time, guys. Bye.